Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Ermek, the CEO of Richie AI. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Doing fine. Please tell us what your company does.
Yeah, so what we do is basically it's called embedded lending infrastructure, and we help various B2B SaaS platforms, payment processors, and marketplaces to enable them to do lending to their existing merchants. So think of it this way: there's like a large platform, Amazon. They help their merchants grow by providing them with capital. So that's what we do with other platforms. So we provide them with infrastructure so they can do it. And help their own merchants grow. So we provide them with access to lenders, with access to technology and capital and compliance support. So basically everything in one place, and that's what we would do.
So what did you say is the biggest problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, ultimately our biggest problem is we're trying to help platforms grow. So when platforms have, let's think of B2B SaaS platforms. So then when they have 10,000 merchants, and they just keep growing. But at some stage, they'll just reach like the full of potential, and then it's just the growth will start stagnating. And usually, when they ask merchants, what actually prevents merchants from growing, like the small guys, yeah, the biggest problem merchants will tell you is capital. So they do not have access to capital. How And basically, the goal there is to help merchants find a way to keep helping platforms find a way to help merchants grow. And that's basically where we come in. And if most platforms realize that today on the planet, but if they need to do it themselves, it would take them 6 to 8 months to launch a program. And so they can come to us, and then we can do it in as little as a day. So that's basically the key solution there.
That's
But
awesome.
capital is definitely needed. All merchants need capital to grow.
So it's not a new market or a new need. You don't need to educate the market. They already know that they need it.
Yeah, but they do not realize that actually platforms sometimes do not realize that they can be the ones providing capital. And in fact, because platforms have so much information about merchants, they can make those loans cheaper for the final guy. And that's one of the key aspects that we also push. Because just by having some additional data on the merchant, we can make loans cheaper, and that ultimately helps the final guy, like that small merchant, with his growth potential.
Yeah. And how does the process work? How does it work? What is the process?
Yeah, so how we technically work is, so once the platform is onboarded, like let's say platform decided that they actually want to go want to help merchants grow, and they want to do lending, they'll come to a solution like ours, and let's say we integrated everything. So how it works at that point, so we have first we run a pre-qualification algorithm. What it does, it goes through all the merchants the platform has in an anonymous way. So we do not actually read the merchants' personal data, but just sales, like transactional data. So we can identify about 5 to 10% merchants that we think have the highest probability of actually getting an offer. And those guys will have an offer presented right on the dashboard. And if the merchant likes it, he accepts it. Platform has most of the data. So we collect that data. We take some additional data. And then if that works, and the loan gets funded, and then we collect money from every future transaction the merchant does on the platform. So that's kind of like how we do it. And that's basically, and then the process just keeps repeating with merchants once they pay off the loan and so on.
And what is the pricing for Richie?
Yeah, so today we actually do have a subscription plan for platform. So that can be usually somewhere between $500 to $2,500 a month. But those are large platforms that actually utilize us, so that's why.
And what did you say? What did you say are your top 3 features?
Yeah, so I'd say that the top 3 features is pre-qualification. It's an opportunity to basically pre-qualify the guy and find like the the most qualified merchants. Then second one would be to actually being paying from his future transactions. And the third one is fast deployment, meaning that we actually do a no-code solution that can be deployed in as little as 20 minutes. And that's what like kind of like key advantages and features. That's what
And
we offer and what we
how
offer. Oh, it's
competitive
also
is
privately.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How competitive is your market?
Actually, this is a fairly new market. Embedded
Mm,
lending is like almost like a fresh market. There's only like one, two players
okay.
playing in that field. So there's a company called Paraffin. They actually work with Amazon. So Amazon started doing lending like a couple of months ago. So they're doing it with Paraffin. There's another couple more players, but those are smaller. But we work in a more of like a Stripe type environment where we make an open API. So any platform, and specifically smaller platforms, not as huge ones like Amazon, but smaller platforms can launch lending, and that's what basically differs us from Paraffin. But it's really new market. Like nobody was doing embedded lending before, like before 2020.
And when did you start the company?
Pardon?
When did you start the company?
Oh, we started in 2019, so we've been yeah, we've been in business for about 3 years now.
And how did you come up with the idea? How did you see this opportunity?
Oh yeah, so I worked in lending for a long time actually. So my personal background is finance, so I worked in
Mm,
financial like investment analysis and financial engineering, and yeah, we had a couple companies that we started before, and then I landed in lending, landed in lending, but basically
yeah,
we got into lending,
yeah.
and yeah, that's when we got backed by a venture fund for the first time. So 2019, we started as a marketplace for small business loans ourselves, and then just like as scaling, like we tried addressing some bigger problems, like how can we make loans cheaper, and that's what was the key point, like how to make loans cheaper. Okay, through data. It's understandable that the data is the way to make loans cheaper. Okay, so we said, okay, data is the way. How can we make data? How can we access data, and so on? You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's a great story. So you pivoted from that from a marketplace to
Hmm.
solving the problem that you faced. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
absolutely, absolutely. So, go ahead.
And how big is your team right now?
Yeah, we're actually 9 people plus we have few scouts, so that would make it 10, 11, 12 of ish.
And do you think was your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Ooh, biggest challenge. I mean, I think we are going to be facing a bigger challenge because all the lending market is going to go become a little shaky, just because of the recession coming up and stuff like that, and then the interest rate hike and stuff and so on. But
Mm,
also we have a very technically heavy product, so that's why like some technological
both,
stuff
yeah.
that we need to do in infrastructure that makes it a little bit more complicated, I guess.
What has been your best growth tactic for gaining customers?
Since most of our customers are like mid to enterprise, so we found content marketing to be the most interesting way to
Hmm.
actually attract customers. So we've been hosting webinars and stuff like that was around customer success, and that's what we found to be the most actually interesting way of attracting like that specific decision makers. That
And
type
do you
of
have any
decision.
tips for companies starting doing that? Starting
Do
to try this?
webinars.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
do it. Just do it. Just do webinars. And yeah, so lots of people are shy, and I think on your fifth webinar or seventh webinar, you'll get better, and then you'll actually attract better people. So that's what I found to be interesting.
And I love to hear your backstory from the beginning. So how you started your career? I know that you already said that you worked in finance, but tell us the story from the start.
Yeah. So I'm actually from Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is one of the former Soviet Union states. Yeah, so I was born in Kyrgyzstan. I grew up in Kyrgyzstan up until my teenage. So when I was a teenager, I actually moved to the States and basically lived in Brooklyn ever since. I studied finance and actually I studied investment banking. So I was going to be an investment banker. But I also coded. Like I used to code the whole time, like since basically like middle school, I think. So that kind of like came together because I worked a little bit in investment banking, but I realized that it wasn't that interesting, and I actually wanted to do startups. So that's so that kind of gradually, so Wall Street was switched to Silicon Valley. So I felt that was not that interesting. So yeah, that's basically my story. And then we started one company was called Richie Invest. It's like top was like a top 12 app and fintech in the States actually. And then we did like a few other projects, and that's basically So I've been like just running around different ways of startups ever since.
What's your best piece of advice for starting founders?
Just do it, I guess.
The same as
Yeah,
webinars.
I think it's actually like for many people they start overthinking it. No, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Like
You just got to act. Yeah.
yeah, just do it, and then at some point it's gonna work out, I think.
What's your favorite software apart from Richie?
My favorite software, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, I'd say I don't know. Lots of it. I specifically like
Top
this
three
thing.
maybe.
Uh, I mean, I'd say I like RubyMine if you talk about software. So everything by what's the company name? Hold up, I can tell you. But basically, RubyMine was developed by this Czech company. They actually found like I like them a lot. They're also I'm actually very fascinated about how fintech has been developing outside the States. I was very US focused, but then I went to some other parts of the world, and I was like really fascinated by how far advanced they could be. So I could pick. I like Kaspi. There's this Kazakhstani bank that I'm like everyone is fascinated about now. You can actually check them out, so they're really nice. So I would say that, and there is another app actually for SaaS. I mean, we're on SaaS podcast, right? So I would say there is a product called Reply.io, and I
Yeah,
kind of like
I
it
know.
actually.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. I know the guy, Oleg. He actually visited Kyrgyzstan. I was here as well. So yeah, but it's like really interesting product. Like, I was very fascinated by it. So yeah, those are three products.
Nice, nice. And is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
Pardon?
Is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
No, I think everything was good. I'm actually very like it's really interesting that there is something around SaaS and that stuff is needed. So I'm very happy that So you what you guys are doing. So it's fascinating. It's cool.
Thank you so much for joining.
Alrighty, nice. Bye bye.